D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I just finished Titans season 3, episode 5. I don't remember the name of it, but I have to be honest with you. Before I break down the episode, I have to be honest, and this was the weakest episode of the season so far. It wasn't bad. It was just very meh, like very okay, mediocre, medium, all that stuff. And it wasn't bad. And it gave us some backstory. And I felt like the backstory was not, I didn't feel there was enough there for a 40-minute episode. I just felt like they could have wrapped up this backstory of Red Hood and Scarecrow and all that stuff, and Batman. I felt like they could have wrapped it up in a good 20 minutes. So, but it was fine, I didn't dislike it, but like I said, it was very medium. I was expecting, I don't know. I don't want to say better because it's not like, the acting was fine. And then, there was a little bit of action, not really, but a little bit and everything. Anyways, that's all I really have to say about it. So far, I'm liking the season, though. I think that it's a good season so far. I think they're doing a good job. The Red Hood thing, it's not exactly comic books accurate, but they're doing it well enough to where I'm not like upset about it. Especially in this episode, they did something, and I had mentioned it in my review for episodes 1 through 3, which I'll say right now. Him being brought back was by the Lazarus Pit, which made me happy because I was afraid they'd do it with, the fear toxin or whatever, or because he was like huffing that stuff in episode 1, and I was afraid that they would do that. And I was like, I'm going to be so annoyed if they don't use a Lazarus Pit because that's crucial to the comic books. So I'm going to get started now and breaking down this episode and everything. So it starts off with just right after that last episode where they're in the woods and he got Dr. Crane out, aka Scarecrow, and he's sitting here and they're sitting here talking, and he's all like, what do you, we just got out, and I can't remember exactly what they said verbatim, but he's like, you don't know Dick, he's going to come after us and everything. He's like, why are you afraid of Robin or Nightwing? He's like, I'm not afraid of him and everything. He's like, he just won't stop, especially what we did to Hawk. And he's like, who's Hawk? Oh yeah, the guy with the big thing. He's like, I forget how many of you are birds and everything, which is so funny because there are a lot of birds, bird-esque superheroes and everything. But there's a lot of, you can point that out about a lot of stuff. Anyway, so he's sitting here talking, and he's all like, you're playing like this is a game. You're not taking this seriously, kind of thing. And he's like, here, take a huff of this stuff. His eyes go gold or whatever. And then it goes back to 3 months ago. And this is where it starts with the episode. And it's all about him becoming Red Hood. So he's having this nightmare, and somebody shoots him. I don't know who it was supposed to be. I mean, like, maybe it was supposed to be, I don't know who it was supposed to be. But then he gets a vision of Donna Troy. Now, I liked seeing Donna Troy here. I hope this is just a hallucination and this really wasn't that she's dead, because I don't want her to be dead on the show. I like Donna Troy, and the way they killed her was so friggin' ridiculous. It was so ridiculous, so stupid, and nobody liked it. I mean, if you liked it, explain how you liked that. But anyways, so she's all like, come back to us, Jason, and everything. And he's, he gets woken up by Bruce, and he's like, you were having a bad dream or nightmare. You were screaming in your sleep and everything. So he's sitting there talking to him, and he's like, listen, you're not Robin anymore until you go see Dr. Thompson and everything. And Dr. Thompson is from, it's like a psychologist or whatever. And she knows Bruce is, Batman and everything. And she helps out and everything. And there's kind of like a love thing going on between them. Yeah. So he's sitting here talking to him. And I just have to say, Ian Glenn as Bruce Wayne, I wish they wouldn't have chosen him. He's 60 years old. Whenever they do this kind of stuff, I just always like picture Bruce Wayne being more like mid to late 40s and not 60. Because how are you going to be fighting at 60? Like, come on. Like, it's fine, but it's like, whatever. Like, Ian Glenn would not have been my first choice. All right. I'm done saying that. Okay. So he's in here talking, and this is where he's telling him, you're not Robin anymore until you go see her, and she gives you the okay. So he goes and sees his friend Molly here. Now, if Molly was in the past seasons, I don't remember her. But because I didn't rewatch the first 2 seasons before I started watching season 3. So if she was ever in an episode in the last season, I don't remember, or in season 1, I don't remember. So she tells him that she's working on a missing kid. I think his name, Diego, yeah. And everything. And she's all like, the cops don't care because he's a brown kid, which is not true, but whatever. So she's all like, trying to find him. And he's all like, it's a guy hanging out at a shelter over on 45th. Anyways. So she's talking about him about San Francisco and why he left and all this stuff. And he's like, why don't we go see this guy? So they go see this guy. And I just want to say, I love the taxi in the background because taxis are so like with Lyft and Uber and everything. It's like taxis are like, do they exist anymore? But I like seeing this one. It's an old school taxi. Love seeing it. And I love this street this little alleyway that they're walking down. It's really great and everything. And I love this depiction of Gotham. I think that they're doing it right. I think some shows don't get Gotham right. Like Birds of Prey did not get Gotham right. But this show, I think, is getting Gotham correct. Anyways, so they're walking down. They see the guy. And she's like, because he was all like, let's get a picture of him and everything. So he gets a face recognition because he's got all that Batman tech. And he's all like, yo, he worked for the Joker. And she's like, how do you know that? And he's like, you know me. And I'm all like, okay. And so he's like, let's go have a chat with him. So they go and they talk to him and everything. And they get this girl to go away. And he's all like, you work with the Joker or whatnot. And he's being cocky and everything. And this guy's all like, all this stuff, but he pulls a gun on him. And he's like, oh, where's that cockiness now and everything. And then he starts to beat the crap at him because he's afraid, and he remembers Deathstroke from the last season beating him up and capturing him and beating him up and then pushing him off of the roof and everything. And he's getting beat up, and Molly's all like, please stop and everything. And Molly's all like, are you okay? And he's like, get the fuck out of here. And she's all like, what can I do to help you? And he's like, you can get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, you know what? That's your friend. Don't talk to your friend like that. You just got your ass beat because you're stupid. And you like pulled up on a dude. And when you talk shit, you get hit. Okay. So don't be mean to her. She told you the whole time it was a bad idea. So back off. You're sitting here and you didn't apologize to your friend at all, douche. So he was mean to his friend Molly, who was just trying to do the right thing. And he was being, irresponsible about it. So then he goes to see Dr. Thompson. And he's all like, is this where I tell you my shit? And she's like, if you want to tell me your shit and everything. I did like their interactions, especially this first time and everything. And he's sitting here talking, and he's like, so where are you going to get the pills? And she's like, do you want pills? And he's all like, if that's what it takes. And she's like, have you taken pills before? Sorry, I need a little libation. And everything. But then he notices a picture. He's like, is that Dr. Crane? And it goes to a picture of her. I don't know who all these other people are, but the one in the middle, that's her, the only woman in the picture. And then you look to her left, and that's Dr. Crane. He's a goofy looking motherfucker. Anyways, and she's like, yes. And she's like, I knew him back. He was brilliant, but he was obsessed with fear. And she's like, he used his fear toxin on me. And it's the closest to being to hell while you're alive. And she's like, I would have died if it wasn't for Batman. And then she's like, we're good for this first session. He's like, that's it. And she's all like, listen, the first session is always the hardest kind of thing. So he's back in the Batcave, and he goes into the vault, which I like this Batcave. I like this whole setup. I like how you can see the rocks in the background. I love the lighting in this. I love the computers, the way they're set up. I really like this Batcave. Because I mean, and I do like other bat caves, like, like, for instance, the Tim Burton bat cave, where it was just like these big caverns and everything. I do like those bat caves, but I feel like this one's more realistic. You would want to set up a thing where you could, it's in the Dark Knight. I felt like the first the bat cave was realistic in the sense that it was, in a big friggin' cave with all this like stuff sitting around, like a workbench and stuff. Like that's how you'd set it up and everything. But anyways, this looks good. But I always wonder who constructed this. Did Bruce do it all by himself? That's so crazy if he did. Anyway, so he goes into the vault, and he sees, first off, that's the dummy from the ventriloquist dummy. That looks good. I really like, and I like how it's got a wonky eye. It's very cool. It bums me out that we're not going to see any of these villains like Scarecrow. We better see him with his mask on this season for sure, like in full Scarecrow getup. We better. Or I'm going to be a little bit annoyed. So we see the ventriloquist dummy. We see we saw some Joker cards, the Two-Face coin. I believe this is Ra's al Ghul's knife, but I don't quote me on that because I was like, I don't know what that is. Anyways, Catwoman's goggles and her whip. I thought that was pretty cool. And then we see the fear toxin and the mask, and I thought that was pretty cool. And he's looking at all this stuff. And then Bruce comes in. He's like, looking at my old trophies, huh? And he's like, you shouldn't be sneaking up on people. And he's like, it's a habit that comes in handy. So he kind of talks to him about, he's all like, you talk to Dr. Thompson. He's like, what goes on between you and your sessions is none of my business and everything. That's patient doctor privilege kind of thing. But he mentioned something, I can't remember or whatnot. Something about how he got messed up in San Francisco. And then, but he calls him, he's like, you know, you did good, son. And he calls him son. And he's like, do you mean that? And he's like, I do. So then he goes back here to Dr. Thompson's house, which, by the way, she lives in a great house, Jesus. And she's doing word recognition. And that's where you say a word and someone says a word and then you say the first thing that comes to mind. You know, like you say clock, time, you know, light, bulb, or whatever. You just say the first word that comes to mind. And she says mother. And then, but when she says father, he says Bruce, which I was like, you know, and, you know, I do think that Bruce is a little creepy in this show from the past seasons, but I do like seeing the fact that he does play a father figure to these boys and girls that are Robin. I just wish this show didn't make it look like he was all creepified. Like, remember the first season where he like didn't talk to him because they didn't hire an actor, but he just left him notes. And I'm all like, okay, that's weird, but whatever. Anyways, so then these two are sitting here chit. And then he leaves. I can't remember exactly what they said, but he leaves. That's a great house. Gosh, I wish I could afford a house like that. So he's walking down the street and then Bruce picks him up in his fantastic car and he takes him to the old theater and the alleyway where his parents were shot. And they get out of the car and he's like, this is where they were shot. And he's like, this is where they were standing. We were standing where they died. And he's like, and he basically goes on to tell him, he's like, you're not going to be Robin anymore. This is taking a lot out of you. And I don't want you to get hurt. And he's like, but you're still my son. And I thought that was touching. But, you know, it's like Batman, you know, Bruce needs to be Batman because that's what, like, I feel like it's like in The Dark Knight when Maggie Gyllenhaal's character wrote him that letter and she's all like, you won't ever not need to be Batman. And I think that that's the thing. Bruce will never not need to be Batman until he dies. And for this, Jason Todd needs to be Robin. That's his identity. I feel like that's his identity. Like that's who he is. And for him to take that away from him is a douche move. It's a douche move. Instead of taking it away from him, you should be like, hey, if this is what you want to do, that's fine, but we're going to do it more responsibly because I feel like Bruce is just letting him be willy-nilly about the whole thing. And he's not getting a further grasp on the whole situation. Then he walks because he's like, F you, and he walks off. So then we're in Gotham and he calls her on the phone and he's all like, word recognition, liar. And she's all like, Jason, where are you? And he's like, liar and everything. And then he hangs up the phone. I was like, I don't think you know how the game works, buddy. So, I mean, and the doctor, she didn't know how the game worked either because she was just like, where are you? And it's like, that's not how this works. Anyways, so he's at Arkham Asylum. He breaks in, he's talking to Dr. Crane, and he's all like, I'm working with the PD and everything. He's all like, stop playing like this hippy dippy crap. And he's all like, how did you make your fear toxin kind of thing? And he's like, he shows him, he's like, only one person. I thought those were all destroyed. Only one person would have that. And you're Robin and everything. He's like, I thought you'd have wings. And I'm like, oh, okay. Anyways. So then he's like, how do you make it? He's like, listen, he's like, if you want my formula for the fear toxin, you're going to need to get me out of here and everything. He's like, and basically he's like, deal. So he gets this space that we saw in the first 3 episodes. I think it was episode 1, maybe 2. And he starts cooking up the concoction, looking at his formula, and he's failing and everything because it's not the right formula. And he's like, you didn't give me the right formula. He's like, yeah, I didn't give you the right formula because I wanted to make sure you'd hold up your part of the bargain. And he's like, we're going to test this stuff out and everything. So it goes back to the first episode where he finds the Joker and he's all like, I got the Joker. And he's all like, leave it alone and everything. And he puffs up, puts on the Robin outfit, goes to the space where the Joker is, and of course gets attacked. And then murdered who? Murdered Robin. That's who. And then they're in Arkham Asylum. They're like, get down. He's like, what's up? And he's all like, the Joker killed Robin and everything. And he's all like, ha 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 ha, happy. So then they steal the body, this guy, and he gets the body. Hold on, I gotta go this way real quick because I did this out of order. Okay, there we go. So he gets the body and he throws it into the pit. And then he gets all like goobly and everything, and he's watching everything, and it surrounds him. And I thought this was very cool. It reminded me of the Mummy, you know, when the little shadowies come over the little water area, and then like the ghost thing falls down on. Anyway, it kind of reminded me of that. Anyways, so then he's all, you know, I can see his bunny cakes, and then it surrounds him, and then boom, he's alive. And this is the Lazarus pit. I'm so happy they did the Lazarus pit because I thought they were going to do that little toxin and that's how it healed him and everything. And I was like, oh, if they do it that way, I'm going to be so freaking annoyed. But then he gets up and he's like, how am I still alive? And he's like, Ra's al Ghul left a little bit of his healing waters, you know, or whatnot, which I was kind of annoyed with that when it was in Gotham, but I get it's fine. I got what I wanted as far as the Lazarus pit, but I would have liked them to go to, what's the Shadows base called? I can't remember what it's called, but I would have liked to have them gone to some exotic place to go to see a Lazarus pit, but it's fine. Because if you know in the comic books, and I don't know if they've changed it or whatnot, because I haven't seen the Lazarus pit for a while, but their Lazarus pit, there's all over the world. But once you use a Lazarus pit, you use it once, it's done. I know they changed that like in the Arrowverse, there is a Lazarus pit. Well, not anymore, but there was a Lazarus pit at Nanda Pardet. There we go. That's what I was looking for. And they used that more than once and everything. But so anyway, so he wakes up and he's all like, all right, and he's dancing to the Gata Davida whatever song. And I can't remember exactly what they said, but he's all like, take a puff. And then he turns him into Red Hood, which I don't know how I feel about that. Like I don't dislike it, but I don't like that the Scarecrow is pulling the strings. Like a Red Hood is a puppet. I liked in the comic book how the Red Hood was his own thing and he wasn't a puppet of the Scarecrow, but at the same time, I don't hate it. You know, I'm not furious over it. I still think the show is good and I can't wait to see, you know, the next episode to see where this goes and everything. So he's like, go forth, Red Hood kind of thing. And he gets that guy and he terrorizes him from the beginning. This part was so friggin' dark. Getting these stills was just so friggin' hard. Anyways, so he's all like, what do you want from me? And he's all like, I want you to send a message. And he's like, who are you? And then he shoots him. And he's like, never mind, I'm going to tell everybody myself. And so he goes to Molly's apartment, and he brings Diego. And he's all like, and she's all like, Jason. And he's all like, you don't have to, you know, you were always looking out for me. And she's like, and I always will and everything. And then he's like, get a new lock on your door. And she's like, Jason. And then that's where it ends. Let's get a good shot here. So there we go. So I have to say again, that this episode was the weakest so far, but again, it wasn't bad. It's just, like I said before, this was a story that could have been wrapped up in a good 20 minutes and they took like 40, which was fine. Again, it's fine. I'm not mad about it. And even if I was mad, who cares? I just feel like, you know, it's only a 10 episode season, I believe. And I feel like when it comes to this show, in my opinion, they spend way too much time on the Bat family, especially Robin. And I understand it's kind of like his show, but for me, I'm like, listen, we got that the first 2 seasons, in my opinion. It's time to focus on Starfire and her story, or, you know, get to Raven and her story, because we kind of focused that on season 1. But I just feel like this is a story I feel like that we have exhausted a little bit, and I feel like we need to focus on those other characters in the Titans. things, you know, like Beast Boy. We haven't focused on him. Superboy. Yeah, we got like 1 episode, maybe 2 episodes last season. It's like, come on, give me more of the other characters, like Robin and his whole situation. I've had enough. Okay. And I'm getting to the point, like, it's still good and I still like it, but I like Starfire, I really feel like there's so much there and you're not giving it to me. Beast Boy, there's so much there and you're not giving it to me. Raven, Superboy, so much there and you're not giving it to me. And you haven't given it to me. You haven't like really given it to me the way I want it all 3 seasons. So come on, like, bring it along, sister. Ain't got time for this nonsense. So that's my review and breakdown of this episode of Titans season 3, episode 5. Again, it was good, just the weakest one out of the season so far. Tell me, what did you guys think about this episode? Did you like this episode? Did you not like this episode? How do you feel about Scarecrow pulling the strings in this whole web of everything? Do you like it? Do you not like it? All that good stuff. You can go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. You know, I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next episode of Titans. You guys have a good day. Bye.